Good afternoon. Today is December 3rd. It's just slightly after 5 p.m. in the afternoon here at City Hall, and this is the Streets and Sidewalks Committee. And to my right is Councilwoman Lynn Snee, and to my left is Councilman Brock Heath, and I'm Bob Phillips, the chairman. Today we're here to discuss, and I did open the wrong document. Wait a minute, hang on. Wait. We're here to talk about a MACKAGE Road Improvement Project, Phase 3. And Mr. Titterington, you're going to start us off.
I can start you off. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are asking the council authorize me to enter into a professional services agreement with LJB Incorporated. This is for the design of MACKAGE Road Improvement Project Phase 3. And that would be at a cost not to exceed $150,000. Phase 3, and that's a typo in the first sentence of the background. There's this Phase 3 would be a 1,800 lineal feet of MACKAGE Road. This will take it from Madison Street, which is the termination of the Phase 2 project that has recently been completed, to the alley west of Lake Street, which is just beyond Haywood, or in the vicinity of Haywood. As with Phase 2, this would include roadway construction, utility, sidewalk, curb, gutter, all the design related there too. We also want to do a traffic pattern safety study there at the intersection of Ridge and MACKAGE, given that it's an offset intersection, and possibly right-of-way acquisition needs if those become necessary. The construction project is recommended for funding next year, in next year's budget, to include OPWC or Issue 1 funds from the state of Ohio, but we fund the design cost. The 2015 budget included $75,000 for the design cost, so this is double that cost. Some of the reasons for the fact that it's doubled is, number one, the $75,000 is probably a 5-year-old estimate. It's the design estimate that we included back when we submitted the original OPWC application. We are talking about almost 50% longer stretch in Phase 3 as in Phase 2, and Phase 2 was a $75,000 design estimate. We do want to perform the traffic study. We do possibly may have some right-of-way acquisition in there. Not sure if we will or not, but just in case. And then any post-design engineering services as needed, we want to have a contingency for that as well. The additional $75,000 can be funded through the utility funds without need for reappropriation, water, sewer, and storm sewer, since those are components of the design and will be part of the construction project. This is a 2015 budget item. We just recently got the updated estimates from the engineer. We are running out of calendar days in 2015, and so that we can get this money encumbered and a contract signed and design work underway in 2015 or as close thereto, we'd ask that you consider this as emergency legislation.
Thank you. In the extension or the additional length of the project, is that where the right-of-way issues come in, that they were not in the original portion?
I don't know that that's related directly to that section.
The right-of-way, well, what we need to ensure is that all of our road is in either right-of-way or highway easement. Because the city owns part of the project, which is right east of Ridge at MACKAGE with the park. And then I do believe that originally those houses that are actually in that same block was originally maybe the park, maybe. And so we need to check to make sure that all of that has actually had right of way versus like the street went, and then city never officially obtained the right-of-way. So that's really where the right-of-way, we don't anticipate, but we just need to make sure, and then if it does become necessary, we want to have the funds so that we don't have to come back to council to ask for additional funds for the design work for the additional right-of-way.
So is there a possibility that we may not actually spend this total amount of money because
Yes.
of finding that out?
Yes,
Okay.
there's about 100, not 100,000, sorry,
Yeah, I know.
150 hours put in here, which equates to, if you say an engineering firm's about $100 an hour, equates to about $15,000 of money. In addition, that's kind of like, if you want to say a contingency. And then in addition, talking about the engineering services, there's 50 hours in there, it's going to be on an as authorized basis. If it's necessary, if it's not necessary, then we don't use it.
And the additional, the money out of the water fund, sewer fund, and stormwater fund, would that 25,000 each or 25,000? Okay, 25,000 each. Okay. Okay, I think that's primarily what I had. Either.
I just had a quick question. When you talk about performing the traffic safety study at McKague and Ridge, would this study come back and just recommend if there were to be any changes, any realignment or whatever, and then those costs would be realized if needed in the construction of?
No, as part of this project, as part of the engineering, we would, the most that we would do, because we know that, number one, there would have to be a significant amount of discussion in the future about any realignment north of McKague on Ridge. It's a discussion that I understand has happened a couple of times in history. And so, that would take some time and discussion and some resolution. And it would be a significant cost in and of itself. What we plan to do as part of this design work is make sure that we wouldn't impede any future reconstruction by where the utilities and other kind of infrastructure design on McKague in that area would be constructed.
Okay. And we are still expecting, this is design work ahead of next summer's construction on this section. Am I remembering that timeline correctly?
Yes.
That is the
2016
section for
summer.
2016
Yeah.
summer. Okay.
And so the plan right now, just talking about phasing a little bit, not that you guys have asked, but talking about phasing in front of the school and so the construction in front of the school and past Ridge. So doing kind of the second portion of the project probably first. So design and construction will begin, we're estimating right now in May, and then when school got out, they would start that portion of the construction, and that would be one of the requirements, that's back open, and then probably the other section of McKague closer to Madison, further east, would then be closed at a later date.
And that would connect the finished
Improved.
ends, and then the middle would be done. And we're talking about on the McKague side of the elementary school, not the Ridge side? Ridge side, is that correct? There's nothing on the Ridge side at all. It's all on McKague.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just the original estimate was based on the, I know you're looking at me weird. That's something on my face. I don't know, that was weird. Give me googly eyes. The original estimate was based off of a shorter $75,000. That was off of phase 2, but phase 3 ended up being longer, or it was always
It's longer,
designed to be
and
longer?
it's 4 to 5 years later, and inflation
Yeah.
has probably played a part of it.
So phase 3 didn't get longer than it had before. It was just
No, it's been this
Yeah.
stretch. Yeah.
okay.
And
That's all I
Mr.
have.
Chair, I'd like to remind everybody that we are on live TV.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Just so that-
It could be comedy hour, too.
Okay. Draw more viewers.
All right.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I do not.
Anyone else, Mrs. Baker, Mrs. Zoda? Mr. Mayor? Any other comments, questions coming from the audience? Then what is your pleasure in dealing with this item?
Forward with emergency.
Okay. All right, then it's unanimous with the committee that we'll move forward on this item as recommended by staff. Okay. We have another item?
We do?
Not for this one.
No? Do not.
Then we are adjourned.